Ready, kids? Aye, Captain! I can't hear you!
Ahoy there, mateys. It's time to set sail on another episode of Unconstitutional Awakening, the podcast. I'm your host, Jim Bob Ovalshorts, and tonight we've got some historical type stuff coming up. We're bringing back our friend, Lyman Bishop, and he's here to make a pretty large announcement about some plans he has for not only the future of Montana, but his future and probably the future of a lot of other freedom-loving Americans here in this country. Maybe even from Canada and more. Who knows? Lyman's a real cool guy. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he owns Hoplite Armor. And he's been here on the show a few times already. And he's big in the liberty movement, man. He's a guy that has big aspirations and someone I respect a whole lot because, this guy is cut and dry and is very to the point on the things that he's trying to do and believe in. And I hate to use the big scary anarchist word, but I've kind of said that in a way I think Lyman's kind of a closeted anarchist, but I mean at the same time he truly understands what it means to be a person that's just trying to live their life without government tyranny. And that in itself is inspirational. So I know that tonight's going to be a really great show, and I'm looking forward to everything that Lyman has to say and, the things that he's going to lay out for us. And hopefully this will give us an idea of maybe a brighter tomorrow. I'm excited, that's to say the least. But that anything we bring up tonight or anything that Lyman's got going on that he references, we're going to have linked right back over there at everybody's most favorite webpage on the internet right now, which is, of course, unconstitutionalawakening.com, your home for everything Unconstitutional Awakening. So, you guys can hop on over there and check out everything we got going on, from podcasts to, tips on being an urban gardener to things to make you think, and so much more. There's also links to get back to all your favorite hosts and where they're hanging out at social media, as well as links to get back to everywhere you can check us out at, like over there at Rumble, Odyssey, and BitChute. I see you guys, and I see all those new followers popping up and leaving comments and stuff, man. That's why I'm trying to interact with you folks. You guys are awesome. And then over there, all the folks that are tuning in to listen to us across the globe on all of these audio streaming apps, man, I see new followers every single day, and I thank you guys for hitting that follow button. And anybody else that's sitting here that hasn't hit it yet, y'all don't mind, reach on down there and hit that follow button, man. It makes a difference in our heart. We love seeing it, and we love seeing that you guys care about the things we're saying. That's what keeps us going. While you're also on the website, you can make sure you can check out some of the episodes past, because we've got a player right there on the website, as well as a link to go get you some of that sweet Unconstitutional Awakening, the podcast merch. Man, we've got all kinds of good stuff over there. You hop on over there and just find something that fits you, or not. You're not being detained, but it would be appreciated for sure around here to help keep the show going. Just like you can also check out our friends in Liberty, Kirk Elliott, Peachy Key Creations, Ammo Can Survival, and Brett Pike with Homeschools Connected and ClassicalLearner.com. All four of those are people that are doing fantabulous things outside the system to offer alternatives to the garbage that we're all being force fed today. So you guys go check them out to see if they can, fit your needs. Ammo Can's working on some cool new stuff too. He's been sending me some pictures, so I'm looking forward to that. And we've also got that new partnership thing going on with Jason Christoffs, where he's giving you guys the ability to sign up for his self-sabotage, saving yourself from self-sabotage program. There's a link for that in this episode as well as links for all of, these great Friends of Liberty as ours, the merch store, and there'll be links to get back to Lyman and support him, because he's going to need all the support he can get in his run for governor up there in Montana. So you guys, I'm really looking forward to this episode. I personally think this is going to be one of our most historical episodes. And, I got to be happy to say that you heard it here first. So I guess it's time to just dive on into this mess. Let's get it going. All right, everybody. So this evening with me, of course, like I said, I've got Mr. Lyman Bishop joining us, and Stephen, our friend that's been on here a few times, is joining us tonight, and Bandit's with me. So I think this is going to be a fantabulous episode. So, Lyman, how's things been? How you doing?
Life's good. Snow came early, so that was maybe put a little bit of a slowdown on some of the work we were doing on the outside of the house. Yeah, we ended up finishing the roof with snow coming and going. That was actually kind of a rough deal, but managed to pull through that, so can't complain.
It's good you got that done before the snow, for sure.
It was kind of during.
We get a rainy season down here in the southeast, so while y'all are all getting snow, it's just a lot of rain going on out here. And
we're supposed to get a week of rain.
Yep, I'm already getting it.
Yep. It's been raining all day today.
Steven, how you been, bud?
Take the snow over the rain, man.
I'm good, man. I'm blessed to be as awake as I am, so I'll take it.
Good. My apologies for the interruption there, Bandit. I didn't mean to cut everybody off. Bandit, Lyman.
Oh, no. You're good, man. All good.
Bandit, how are you tonight, bud?
I'm good.
Sorry.
I'm good. I got all my computer issues sorted out.
Good.
It's always a plus.
You're actually nice and clear tonight, so I'm glad we're starting the evening off with you nice and clear instead of having to fight with your sound, Steven. There's going to be a couple episodes coming up. You're going to have complaints. I'm just letting you know.
No, I try not to complain too much, but I'm sure you're aware far quicker than I can tell you on most of them. So,
but I'm just giving you a hard time, man. The folks out there listening and stuff. Look, me and Steven conversate a lot, man. I think he's a real good dude, and that's why I keep bringing him back on the show. He's got a really amazing point of view. I think that aligns with the rest of the pirates here on this group, and just like Lyman, and kind of like when me and him were talking about getting him back over here on the show, he was talking about some big plans he's got going on, and that's the kind of part of the reason we invited him on. But we'll probably get to that here in a little while. I kind of wanted to jump back over there. You seem like you were wanting to talk about the snow over the rain a little bit there.
No, hell, there's better things to talk about than the weather. And there's all kinds of stuff going on in the body armor world. So I've been telling people, and I think I mentioned to you guys something about the lightweight level 4 plates I was putting together specifically to defeat the new Army 6.8 AP round, which was designed to defeat level 4 armor, right? So you got to stay ahead of the disease, so to speak, have the cure on hand.
So with your designing, I gotta ask, do you try to design all of your stuff, or do you get any kind of aid as far as like
I've
other people throwing in ideas?
A number of things.
Yeah.
So of course you know my design's best by the shoulder plates. That's kind of the first thing I introduced to the world independently. Got into shield design for a while, but I didn't like who the customers were, so I actually sold my interest in a company I helped start way back in whenever it was 2015. But these new lightweight level 4 plates, man, this is what I'm really excited about. We've already started the mold process. It is in development. We actually have some ceramic cores that we were able to get our hands on to do some preliminary testing, just using different backers and things like that. Technical stuff I won't get into just because I don't want to say too much, but point being, I'm trying to bring an option to the people to defeat this new threat.
I mean, as a part of the people and somebody who's always respected some of the things you've got going on over there and your point of view, I for one can say I appreciate that. And I ask because there's a fella actually that is kind of one of our show sponsor kind of deals, but he makes vests and tactical gear and stuff, but he always uses the hoplite armor or whatever. Like that's been like that design and stuff. He's talked to you before actually. He's made mention of you and knowing your son and stuff actually. But he's the ammo can survival. He's over there on the internet on Instagram. He's a pretty cool cat.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, he's a pretty he's a pretty cool cat. He does he was sending me actually some designs to today. He was showing me some stuff that he was working on for just shits and grins to add to one of his ammo cans that was like like an ID patch kind of thing that goes so that you could identify it yourself or whatever, like a customized thing.
He's a young guy, and I'm impressed with his drive at such a young age, right? So
Yeah.
always try to encourage that sort of thing.
Me too, man. I met him because of the show and stuff like that, and when I actually found out how young he was, I was just like, I was set back by it, and I was inspired by his drive and stuff, and that's why I made him, kind of a part of the family up here and give him that shout out every time to send people his way because he's ahead of the curve, I would say. Like,
Well, and when he first hit me up, he told me he was 17. After a few back and forths, and I thought, oh shit, But I kind of looked at it like, well, okay, I'm just gonna. I only have so much time to give this guy, but I'll do my best to, maybe try to mentor him a little bit. And it's funny because every day I'm trying to spit as much wisdom as I got at my son, and he's got me now putting it down on paper, right? And calling it dad advice and things I can tell young men in particular, right? Start off on the right path. And that's sort of more of a hobby for me, really, writing that book. But I've got a good outline put together, and I just every chance I get, I just drop in little quotes and little bits of advice, and all the things I tell my son.
Not to turn this into like, not to turn this, I guess, into that direction though. But I really think we truly need more of that. More people talking about things in that direction. More of that dad advice. There's many people for quite a few generations.
Memoirs.
Yeah. There's many people for quite a few generations that they haven't had somebody to give them that kind of advice, or they don't have a fatherly type figure to look up to. And you've got so many people that never had a father to even tell, even yell at them for holding the flashlight wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's a big thing missing from life. I am a believer in what they call the nuclear family. Like even if you look at it, the
generations should live together.
Yes.
The family model was there before the nuclear family. They just kind of put a new spin on it, I think.
Sure.
So it's that core family.
Look, man, it's just another trick, right? Oh, you got to move out when you're 18. You got to get a college degree and learn all the stupid shit that doesn't mean a damn thing, and then go ahead and get a car loan and a mortgage and pay your taxes and be a damn slave, right? So what I tell my kids, this house is yours, right? I bought this house. I paid it off. Thank God. By the grace of God, I paid it off. And at no point has it ever been in my name, right? In fact, I own nothing. I'm like, the epitome of Klaus Schwab, but like 180, right? I own nothing and I'm happy. But that's the way I want it, right? For a number of reasons, right? When you're as much of a loose cannon as I am politically, one way to protect your family is to put everything in their name, right? And let them own and run and operate everything. So I'm teaching my kids how to run the business. And there's been a lot of talk about that. There's been people offering to buy Hoplite. There's been opportunities to expand Hoplite. There's been all sorts of everything going on. And sometimes it's hard to find your way. But in the end, I figured, you know what? I'll leave it up to my kids. And they want to run it, so it's theirs. Fine. and that's the direction we're going in. And, you know, I make that decision the same way I make every other decision, right? Principles over profit, man. Yeah, okay, I could cash out. Dude, it was the weirdest thing. I got to tell you this, right? So I'm a big believer in God, and he has done things in my life over the last 10 years that you wouldn't believe. And this weird stuff happens to me, right? Like open the Bible, bam, right to the verse that speaks to the thing I'm thinking of. And sometimes even the world around me is chiming in. So the other day I was frustrated. This was maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks. And I'm frustrated with, you know, just having to do any damn thing, right? You know, I just want to go like hit golf balls and fishing and, you know, goof off at this point in my life, genuinely, you know. Can't wait for the grandkids to start popping out. I'm probably 10 years out of that, but, you know, that's where my sights are set. And so I'm frustrated. I walk in the living room and I'm thinking in my head, you know, I could just sell everything, right? I could sell my house. I could sell Hoplite. I could just scoot, you know, and just get the hell out of the way of this freight train. And the dude on TV, it's supposed to be an angel or something. And he's talking to somebody. I don't know. I wasn't even watching the show. But as soon as I walk in the room with this thought, the angel says to the guy he's talking to, he says, what are you going to do? Cash out, sell everything, split town and let all these people get hurt? And I thought, what the shit did I just hear? And that's the way that life is for me, though, man. You know, I mean, it's, I think if I tried to do that, I'd end up like Jonah, you know, in the belly of a damn whale somewhere. And you can't escape your fate, I think, to a certain extent. And I think that's kind of the direction that fate is pulling me. You know, and I think that's some of the big news you want to talk about, right? Like running for governor.
So, well,
you know,
I mean, that's when me and you were talking to begin with in the thing. You had said that you had kind of plans for doing it and already kind of plans of what you wanted to do when you went.
Well, and I just got off a phone call right before coming on your show. A friend of mine who wants to run as my lieutenant governor found some people that really want to put a lot of backing behind it. So, you know, here again, I don't really feel like I'm in the driver's seat, right? I'm more a passenger on a raft is what it feels like. And you know, you kind of got to go with the flow and let fate take you where it wants to. But I really do believe, and I'll tell you too, I don't think the Libertarian Party agrees with me. I think I'm maybe too radical for the Libertarian Party in the sense that I genuinely believe in secession. 100%.
It's okay.
Montana
We understand.
was founded on it.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're in good company because
you're in good company.
I don't drive well with the libertarians in my state either. So,
well, so
we're pirates here, sir.
Tentatively, by way of the Libertarian website, that I intended to run, and I did that more really to get a sense of their reaction to it, because I knew that there was some parts of the things that I say that they just are going to flip out. And, you know, to be honest, there's a lot of things that the Libertarian Party would say that I absolutely would disagree with. I do not believe in open borders as a starter. You just can't be sovereign without borders. And that's the key word there, sovereign. And that's the Montana State Constitution, Article 2, Section 2. The people have the right to operate as a free, sovereign, and independent state. They have the right to alter or abolish their form of government whenever they deem it necessary. And that is the pinnacle of my argument. What is that? That is the law. So you want to ask me what I'm trying to do? You think I'm radical? In the end, what am I really saying? Enforce the law. And let's take it a step further. Does our own federal constitution not support the same argument to alter or abolish?
But they're not being held accountable. Just like in my state, they're not being held accountable. And that's kind of my thing. Like, what good are laws if they're only pertaining to certain people for certain things?
They only pertain to the peasants.
Mostly. But like, nothing wrong with trying to change it from the inside, for sure. But that's like using everything you got. And I totally agree with that.
I want nothing to do with the inside. I'll tell you that. If I run for governor, day one, I put up a referendum for secession. Day 2, the people vote yes. Day 3, I quit. I quit.
Well,
right? I came to do what I came to do, and now I'm gone.
Don't say like you're going to quit. I mean, people still have to have like still have to have somebody to look up to, even if they're not in a leadership position.
I was just going to say, what I mean? People are going to. There probably are going to be a lot of people that go, "All right, Lyman, what now?"
You need
so when I say I quit, what I propose changes the entire way that you govern a state.
Okay.
Right. And I don't know if I sent you a copy of my book, A Future and a Hope.
No.
I tried to give it away for a while, and I didn't get a lot of interest. So guess what? I put it up for sale, and so that is what makes people read it, right? And what makes people get it. Oddly enough, that's human psychology. So I've been selling the book.
Yeah, it's that personal sacrifice or personal responsibility. If you're going to put forth the money, you're going to read it. So.
Yep. That's right. Then now you've assigned a value to it, and you've paid accordingly. So you're going to give it your full attention. But I'm happy to send you guys a copy of it for free. But in essence, and I think maybe I laid this out on your show before, and it sounds radical. Maybe, I don't know. Let's first talk about secession a little bit, because some people are going to say to you that that's illegal, that the Civil War determined that's illegal. Well, I'll remind everyone that the state of Montana was not admitted to the Union until 24 years after the Civil War. And that state constitution, which is the legally binding agreement by which any state joins the Union, and the terms and conditions outlined therein, were signed off on and approved by not only the Montana state founders, but the federal representatives on the other end. So there is no legal argument against it. It is as it reads, and it's plain as day. So now, having put that argument to rest, and I'm just going to assume that anybody who has an argument to that effect has thusly rested said argument. But to take it to the next level, what do? Right? I really respect some parts of the Montana state constitution about keeping a clean environment from one generation to the next. And I'll tell you this, Montana is on everybody's radar now. And growth and development are inevitable for Montana. We can either control it or be controlled by it. And there's only one way to control it, and that is secession. That is that word sovereign that I spoke of. I'll pause for questions before I continue.
I mean, you're the fourth largest state land-wise. I mean, you've got the natural resources. You've got...
But yeah, you're right. It's huge.
You have amazing natural resources. You've got plenty of land for cattle. You've got arable land for agriculture.
Yes.
You've got the mountains to the west, the Great Plains to the east. I mean, you've got everything.
Oro y plata.
Yeah.
It's on our state flag. It means gold and silver. And what God tells me is he put that money in the bank for this generation, if only they'll take it. Oh, losing your show here.
No, sir. I was sharing the screen actually, because just as you brought that up,
screen freaking out, and I figured I did something wrong.
No, it's
so what do we got here?
It was bringing up exactly what you were just saying. The state's motto about the gold and silver, and it's known as the treasure state.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And the federal government so-called owns 30% of our state, and you can bet that some of the best
13 million acres is what they claim.
Yep. So of course we put that to rest right away. My plan hinges on a restructuring of really the way we run our economy, and what I propose is that the state of Montana restructure itself as a corporation. I don't know any other way to put it. With shares owned equally by every man, woman, and child, and every matter is put to vote. So, for instance, you don't have a governor who's stuck in there for 4 years. You got a CEO. If he screws up, you fire him tomorrow. But the idea is sort of based on what they do in Alaska. They're extracting resources, and what are they doing? They're sharing that with the citizenry, right? So the idea here is that, well, just like I said, oro y plata, there's enough gold and silver in those mountains to make us sovereign tenfold over. So what I propose is the establishment of what I call the Montana Corporation, owned by, as I said, every man, woman, and child in the state. Certainly can't let the feds control your money. So next up is the Bank of Montana. And let's just go ahead and form our own currency. There's a lot of states talking about this now on the face of the CBDC scenario. A lot of states are talking about making their own money, but it's all going to be fiat trash money. If it's not backed by gold and silver, it is not real money. Gold is God's money. So take it a step further, right? How does this really boil down? What do you do? Montana Corporation hires Montana companies to go out and extract Montana resources for the Montana people, right? In this way, and people say it's socialism. Well, bullshit. Socialism shows no respect for private property. That's critical in Montana. That's a big part of our belief system, a big part of our Constitution. Your property is your property. Castle laws, right? What I propose is that we go kick down the fences and access so-called federal land to extract these resources on behalf of the people of Montana, whatever those resources might be. Now, in keeping with the Montana state constitution philosophy to treat the environment with care, we have to understand that wherever humans go, we leave a footprint. So wherever we make a footprint is where we make a new development, right? You don't just sprawl out everywhere aimlessly. Go out, extract resources from a site, turn that into a ski resort and a little community. That's the sort of thing that is going to be tremendously important in building a firm foundation for the state, is to have that sort of infrastructure, high technology, new infrastructure. Sure, you use as much renewable energy as you can, solar, what have you, but a big part of that could be hydroelectric dams, right? We've got one up here in Hungry Horse, just north of me. And I can tell you that my electric bill is considerably less than most other people being part of this, what they call a co-op. It's just taken this whole thing to the next logical step. Rather than let some billionaire come in and extract the resources and sure give people some decent paying jobs for however long and then split in town with billions of dollars. No, hell no. Those resources belong to the people. And so what I propose, sure, it sounds radical and it sounds unusual. But when I ran for governor last time and I went before God and I said, Lord, I need to present something to the people beyond just their Second Amendment rights. And I said, we need to address this financial system because inevitably the federal government is going to fall on their face financially. And when they do, it's everybody else that's going to get caught holding the bag. And who's going to pay the real price? Same thing as I say, you don't want a civil war because who gets hurt? It's the same thing. Who pays the price? It's the elderly, the disabled, the single mothers, the children, for God's sake. There was a book written by Gene Sharp talking about how to do these things, right? And there was a documentary, I may have talked to you about this before, called How to Start a Revolution. And we sent this colonel over to Kosovo, and he implemented these practices, and they put an end to the tyrannical government that was creeping up there. And he made the point. He took a book and he held it up on his fingers, and he said, this book represents society, and these pillars represent things like military, police, banking, education, all these critical systems, and you don't want to just crumble it or the book falls, right? What you want to do is you want to transfer that book, that society, away from these rotten pillars to new healthy pillars, right? And he literally used that same example with the book and the whole deal. And it made a whole hell of a lot of sense to me. And so as I'm praying and I'm going before God and I'm laying this out and I'm saying, we need a real solution. And bro, I'll tell you, I started typing and I didn't even know what I was writing until I was done. I was as surprised as you are to hear it the first time. I kid you not. But I couldn't get away from the fact that it made a whole hell of a lot of sense. And and you know what? I literally kept it under wraps for a long time. I did release it. Excuse me. Hang on. I did release it during the election, but too little too late. And, quite honestly, we were never going to win that because no experience and no funding, and they know all the tricks, and they played some. Having been through that, a little bit wiser, a little more experienced, and certainly a whole hell of a lot better funded. Well, now we got a chance at this thing. But the people need to recognize, and this is a conversation I had just before coming on your show, is these guys with the funding recognized that although this plan is going to sound absurd to some people, they realize, like, my God, there is no other option. America is falling. It is crumbling. And they're going to switch over to universal basic income right alongside their central bank digital currency and their digital ID and their social credit score. And if you screw up, they're just going to yank money right out of your bank account. You have two choices in front of you, and that's it. The Great Reset or God's Reset. Take your pick, right? And I know that there's always going to be some segment of society that resists what the so-called elites, I would say so-called because quite honestly, they represent the worst of humanity, but they like to call themselves elite. So we'll play their game. This is what the elites have in store for you. And there's no getting around it, right? The die is cast. They are moving full force in that direction. As I understand it, a lot of wealthy people are already moving their money through, backdoor access into this new digital currency such that they, in essence, increase their holdings in the process. And from what I understand, there's different classes of citizen. And guess what? You and I are in the commoner class. And you're going to have very little money, very little rights, very little any damn thing. So you got to really, desperate times require desperate measures. I see no other way. If somebody's got a better plan, give it to me, and I'll push that through. But I don't think it exists.
Well, me and Bandit actually talk about this frequently about how you're right. There is going to be big, huge chunks of society, a lot of these big cities, a lot of your New Yorks, your Californias, hell, even Atlantas, that are going to move right along with absolutely everything you're saying. Even Luis would agree, and I wish he was here tonight because I know he would love to touch on this himself. But like, as me and Bandit have said, you're gonna have, I think, more of what you're actually talking about, maybe in similar forms, maybe in different forms, but I truly believe that it's going to balkanize, and it's going to be, as we joke, the Jetsons and the Flintstones. Like you're going to have these people that go right along with the World Economic Forum and their digital way of life and moving into these social credit systems. And you're going to have us that are saying, no, I think we can do this ourselves out here. And I truly don't think that there's going to be, and this is from my perspective, again, I'll take any argument to it or whatever, but this is my perspective, is that they're not going to actually, they're going to let us do that. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to take that entire state and vanish. They might put up a little bit of a hoo-ha to begin with, but in essence, they're going to be more worried about keeping what they continue to have in line and not worry about the Rebel Alliance scragglers that are running off to the side. And
there's one thing they're really not going to like about Montana doing that, though.
True. That 13 million acres. I do understand.
No, it's something bigger than that.
All right.
We got the largest repository of nuclear weapons in the United States, and I ain't giving them up either.
I mean,
I ain't giving them up. It's just that simple.
Hey, are you wearing your own armor?
My walls are reinforced with ballistic panels.
There you go.
For good reason.
All right. Yeah. Totally agree, man. That's got to be something.
When you're a warrior for God, when you're a representative for God, there is nothing to fear, not even death itself. You know what I fear more than anything else is letting down my Lord and King.
That's got to be something you got to worry about is, and it's being in the position that you're in right now. Like you're actually like a legitimate, credible threat to the two-party system that is, controlling each state.
Right.
You did better than Ron Paul ever did in the voting numbers.
I looked at your previous numbers from when you haphazardly jumped into this election. You actually had decent numbers, and you only needed a few more percentage points to actually get into a debate.
And we did that with pretty much zero budget,
mm-hmm.
and definitely no idea what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I was just following what I felt I was called to do to the best of my ability at the time. And, I had somebody send me an email the other day, that they'd like to help with the campaign, that they've got experience in helping, manage campaigns. And I haven't reached back out to that person yet, but I'm seeing kind of this vortex of people and thoughts and resources all moving in the same direction. And
you're going to need a very catchy, this sounds
secession
so
or
like,
oppression.
Yeah. You need a catchphrase. You need
You just heard it.
You need you need something that goes well on a bumper sticker, something that goes well on a banner, a yard sign.
Yep. Yeah.
As bad as
something
I know, I don't like
package and
mentioning
sell like the other sides.
Exactly. You need to package yourself up. As crazy as it sounds, you need to package yourself up and sell yourself to boomers. I use that term not including you, but you need to package yourself to the younger crowd.
And so I always try to let everything I do just be natural. It's either God's will or it's not. And, so I have to be in keeping in line with my own principles. I have to be true to that philosophy. But at the same time, I understand what you're saying. Mm-hmm. And I think that all those things will naturally find their place without trying to force it, right? Look back at 2019 when I called out the police for the UPS shooting. I just did what I thought was right. And the net result of that was a lot of public attention and exposure and a lot of financial blessings. And I went into that thinking it would destroy my business, and it really ended up making it. So I fully trust that God's will is going to be done one way or the other. I really believe that. And, if you don't quite see the world the same way I do, I don't mean to keep cramming that down your throat, but it's where I'm coming from. That's what I believe.
I don't go after anybody for their, I guess you would say their religious perspective. At the end of the day, a lot of the different things that I believe and that I've studied, however you interpret that as what you consider God, I'm pretty lenient. You know what I'm saying? Like I believe everybody has different views. I believe everybody has all these. Some people think that others are real radical and stuff like that. But once you've studied a bunch of them, you're like, oh, okay, these guys totally believe the same thing. They just don't realize it, and they're arguing over it right now, and that's okay. Like, so, I personally believe that he's within us and not above us. So that's just a whole subject for another day. But like some of my guests call him the creator. Some of my guests call him God.
There's only one point that if you're going to be on the same side as me, spiritually speaking, there's only one thing. All the rest is details. And some of those details are fun to talk about. But that one thing is Christ and him crucified. That's where I come from. And take that for what it is. Do with it what you will. It's not my job to try to convince you one way or the other. That's up to the Spirit.
Sure.
That's the core of my beliefs. That's what brought me to where I am. And if there's any good to be shown from the things that I've done, it derives from that.
Sorry, I'm back. My 2-year-old demanded my presence, and when that happens, you must jump.
You have been summoned.
I was summoned by my 2-year-old immediately.
Right. That's not uncommon, and that's a good thing.
But even
you only get that time with each child once.
That's right.
Just
one time,
it goes by that quick.
Yeah, man.
You blink and yeah.
But 10 minutes a day with your kid is not enough. When they're being indoctrinated by the the perverts that run their school system. You got to be able to counter that with some real.
Not just
so
that.
There's a good question, actually.
Yeah. And not just that, it's like everybody, like the government is draining us so quickly. I mean, now it's no longer, I mean, I'm blessed with being retired already and being able to stay at home with my kids. And being, being able to have the one half out working and have the retired at home taking care of the kids, because it's so bad right now. I mean, both parents got to work, and there's not enough for kids are being raised by TV and their phone.
Sure.
Yeah. Disney Channel's working hard to twist up their heads.
Yeah.
Well,
and hold on, I'm going to finish up real quick.
Yeah.
And I think what you have the chance to do with a state like Montana is even if we have to take a step back and kind of homestead the property.
Yeah.
To live
100%.
away, to live outside and not have to suffer like the tax drain. You got to pay for everything.
There's something important needs to be said about that, because every Montanan is sick of people moving to their state. But what they're really sick of is the wrong kind of person moving to their state.
Right.
And what they need to remember is back in the old days, at the beginnings of Montana, in places like Trout Creek, people would wait at the train station. And I may have told you this before. They would wait there to recruit employees, business partners, dude, even wives, right? Hey, lady, how'd you like to come hitch up with me on my, 1,000 acres and 200 head of cattle, right? Okay, yeah, why not? I mean, that's how this state was built, right? On opportunity and individualism, but also strength in numbers, right? We didn't turn people away then, and we shouldn't turn people away now. Like I say, growth and development are inevitable.
You don't want Californians.
That's right. Yeah, well, you don't want that California attitude. Hell, I lived in California. Right? I grew up there. I grew up in a part of it that wasn't all fucked up until later. Where I grew up, it was just all hills and empty beaches, and that's a different thing than what people imagine California to be. But what that area is now is ruined. And see, that's the other thing. I don't want to see that happen to Montana. Well, and it's happening even now.
And California is always a number one example. And I always like to bring up New York State, because I spent some time in New York State, of places that have legislated themselves to ashes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like each generation wants to control certain things, and things never get repealed. Things just keep getting added on. And I think I brought this up before myself, but like in New York, something that killed me and as an adult and made me be like, okay, we got to hurry up and get out of here, was the cops showed up at my house for having a yard sale because I didn't have a permit. And I was like, you're fucking kidding me, right? And they were like, no, you gotta have a permit to have a yard sale in the state. And I was just like, all right, time to start looking to get back out of this state and move on to the next one, because like this is, stuff like that's ridiculous. And yeah, I can see, we don't want. I don't like that. That's something I'm not for. I've never been for, legislating your neighbor to do anything, through the force of the government. Like, and I guess that's one of my only drawbacks that I've always had, I guess, on the idea of democracy. And I do understand that, you are what you guys are trying to do, and the steps you're trying to take. It's just that whole mob rule idea. And I think that honestly, if more people understood what you're trying to do here, which is going back to that traditional Montana Constitution, which I've been sitting here reading through actually, because I pulled it up as soon as you started speaking on it. And, if people were going there to live that way, I don't think it would be a problem, and everybody be on board with the idea that you have like that. It's not as radical as I understand the perspective where people you have spoken to and stuff, and like the Libertarian Party and such, they're like, oh my, that's nuts. But it's just it's not radical. It's actually giving those answers to questions that a lot of people are having. They're always like, well, what about
real
this?
answers?
What about, yeah. And
everything else is fluff, man. It's all just filler. It's BS. These guys have learned how to smile and witty comment themselves out of ever doing any real work.
Whomever, whom all, and I mean, I'm not, this was really thought out. Like I'm going to make sure I share this with everybody, because I do encourage them to actually read this one. But like, this Constitution originally was really thought out. I think a little bit more than the ideas of the original American one that everybody's so happy to believe in and stuff. But like that, and with it being so thought out, it is kind of laying out a lot of the answers that of this voluntarist society that people are always saying that they want, especially the Libertarian Party. Like, I think this aligns more in what they believe in than they believe in. They just don't want to believe it because they're libertarians and they just want to argue about it. That's
I think that, right. What do they say? Libertarians, nothing they love more than like arguing with each other. And I don't like to put a title on myself. I'm not going to say I'm a libertarian. I'm not going to say I'm a Republican. If anything, I'm a constitutionalist.
Listen. I got tired of having anything to relate to, so I just started telling folks I'm a pirate. We're the pirate party, bro.
That's funny you say that, because I tell my kids, more than likely that's going to be the career path that gets forced on you.
Piracy. I mean,
it's not a label thing, man. That's where everybody wants to build their lives around, like, construct their entire personalities around that political label. Like, I'm a Republican, oh, you're a Democrat. Well, I can't talk to you. I can't associate with you. But that's what they want. They want you to be so caught up in that the political party system, that it's all one big party, libertarians included, Republicans, Democrats, libertarians. They all want power. They all want to tax you.
And what did Thomas Jefferson say about people that want to wield authority or power over their fellow citizen? Nothing good.
No. And see, that's something else. I mean, it's like people want to automatically assume that, oh, you're just against the law and order. You want to secede, you want to have a free society. You just don't want to live in a society of law and order. No, you don't understand. I mean, even if there were no laws, there would still be rules to follow.
In the absence of rules, people make their own.
Yeah. And people have such a difficult time now because they've been so brainwashed. They don't understand the concept of self-governance.
Well, but see, I have my argument for that is each and every person sitting in this panel, and each and every person, whether you're listening or watching this episode, every day self-governs themselves quite well, I would think. Most people get up and just, most people get up, they do what they need to do to get up and go to work and get there safely and successfully, do what they need to do to get home and feed their children and spend time with them if they can, and have a place to lay their head down at night, and without a problem, day in and day out. You don't go out murdering people. You don't go out robbing.
That's all the average person wants.
And that's all the average person.
The average person is not out to harm anybody, for sure. And that's what a lot of people don't get. That not harming others is part of that self-governance, for sure. Yeah. And they do it. They even have the courtesy to look after people, pick up trash without being told. Like, they understand that their environment and everything about them is up to them to make those good decisions.
Putting your buggy back in the cart.
Reap the benefit of that, for sure.
Well, and we do that here, right? It wasn't but a few months ago, there was a big pile of trash flew out of somebody's truck, right on the road coming off my driveway. I just picked it up. And I regretted, though, grabbing one thing because it was some damn dirty used mask. That sucked. But I plow the roads for my neighbors, right? We're all up on a quarter-mile road, 4 or 5 houses. I hit their driveways. I'm out there. I'd feel like a jerk if I didn't anyway. What am I going to do? Just mine and leave you piled with snow when I'm the only one that's got a tractor? I don't mind doing.
Some people are like that. They will not go beyond what their border is because they want to respect other people as well. But there are people that will show that kindness to go the extra step to help somebody else.
What's funny is I didn't ask either. I just did it.
Right. That's what I mean. Like, some people feel like that it's an invasion of someone else's privacy to plow their driveway. Whereas
I felt a little like that at first.
Yeah.
But I just
saying that it's not always, I don't think it's always they don't want to. It's maybe they just don't feel comfortable doing it.
I felt a little awkward.
Even in that scenario, I still feel like that self-governance doesn't mean that you go out of your way to do things for other people, but you also would do that if asked.
Yeah.
So I don't want to lump those people in there to say they're selfish.
And you know, it's funny. I felt awkward about it, but then my neighbor sent his daughter over with some cinnamon rolls. So, you know, and they all appreciate it, you know, and I grade it too. You know, come spring and there's potholes, I grade it. Because I can't.
And see, you didn't need the government for any of that.
Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yeah, I maintain a road, believe it or not. I maintain a road. I was out on the county road. It got so bad one year with these washboards. I got out on the county road and I'm grinding it down. Here comes my neighbor, who's the county sheriff, and he says, I forget what the hell he said. Something about, you know, what are you plowing county roads? I said, well, shit, man, it got so bad out here. We needed help. He says, there's some fuel on the side of my house if you need it. So that kind of paints a picture of the general attitude up here. That's how people survive. That's why there's no racism in Montana, right? Because when you're in the middle of winter and you're in 2 feet of snow and you got to feed your baby milk, believe me, you do not care what color your neighbor is that's going to give you milk or pull you out of the snow or save your damn life. You know, I mean, necessity drove that out of a lot of people's hearts.
Yeah, but I do want to draw that quick correlation that government does have a way of maybe brainwash is a strong word, but they want to condition you to be reliant on them. And that beats the self-governance out of individuals and makes them part of a system that is then controlled by the head of a few.
There's a cabal out there been working hard for a long time.
Right, but I totally agree that, like, you guys all mentioned a community, or you mentioned like a civilization, and I think that our civilization could be what we make it. I don't think that we have to conform to any previous methods that may or may not have worked. So, like, I guarantee you, yes, the federal government will fail 100%. We are literally one large solar flare or multiple solar flares from not having internet or electricity.
Or more angry rednecks like down in North Carolina.
Yeah, potentially that too. Let's not underestimate.
And we know from experience when things go south, they're going to leave you to fend for yourself, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Hurricane Katrina, you know, go shit in the hallways of a stadium and deal with it. That was
really. And I think that conditioning of a larger system taking responsibility, that all goes in with that whole party system, that all comes in with like public schools, that all comes in with all the aspects of government that people desire because they want that comfortable lie before they want that uncomfortable truth. And I think that's why the Libertarian Party can't get traction, because it how it makes people feel.
That's like moral Novocaine,
right? And we were talking about branding, but you look at the Republican name, you look at the Republican imagery, you know exactly what those guys are supposed to be all about. You go to the Democratic Party, you see this exact same thing. And most people don't really functionally realize they're all part of the same thing. They're all part of the same group. What I would like to see is exactly
what party.
You want. Yeah, I want to see what you, by quitting, you say you want to quit, but maybe another or better term is to abolish your position.
Yeah, you know.
So that doesn't make you look like a quitter.
Because it doesn't mean I won't
so
be
you don't
there.
look like a quitter.
No,
right, but if you get in there and you say, yeah, I'm going to get in there and then quit.
Right.
So
no, you nailed
that makes people like totally see what they don't want to see, that uncomfortable truth. And that's what you're bringing to the table, I think. But a lot of people recognize that where you're from, more so than in Oklahoma, for sure.
Yeah.
Because people are just so attached to the government. all the tribes are attached to it. Everybody in a municipality is attached to it. The only people that just don't want government are the farmers, but they still want that check from the federal government.
They do.
If they don't grow anything on their land, or they have grassland.
Right.
So
right.
It's like that full-on dependency, and it's in tiers and levels. So it's really hard to get rid of it. But a lot of people don't realize what we have right now hasn't really existed before.
And that's why they give vets 100% disability all the time. It's shut up money. It's don't kill us money, you know?
Yeah.
Honestly.
Or I'll be subservient for the right price.
Yes.
People will sell out because greed is a phenomenal factor in the human condition.
Of course.
Because people believe that if I can live comfortably, that I'll be okay. And those are the selfish ones.
Yeah, until it's yanked out from underneath you.
Boomers just want to get to the grave comfortably.
Exactly. Like everything we have now is sitting right on top of a rug tug. And we're either one solar fart away from not having it, or we're at the discretion of a group of individuals who want us to join into a global community.
Yeah, that's true. And there's no sovereignty in a global community. So they're taking it from this level where it's at now, where we have this conditioning to believe that we need this system, and they're shifting to the next gear, trying to get it to a global level, which will then try to perpetuate us to other planets and maintain. And people don't realize the system we're living in is designed to lead you to communism. Central banks are a core tenet of communism, destroying the family.
It's always in their favor. It's always in their favor to have that type of rule.
And that's who we're up against. That's the ideology we're fighting, really, is communism, and those who are proponents of it.
Yeah, we've been against that since written history, I believe. Everyone loves the idea of getting something for free, not realizing you're paying for it on the back end, or your great-grandchildren are paying for it on the back end. Yeah. And that's why I don't think everybody's all worried about their 401ks and they're so proud of their retirements and all that stuff. And I'm like, y'all don't realize that the people who control the money can print as much as they want, and everything that you've worked for your whole life is now worthless. Yeah. Congratulations on toiling for 60 years for nothing.
That's exactly right.
And so that's what
all
I
your
mean
stocks,
by
your bonds, your 401k, it's just going to become
garbage,
right?
Because it already is enough.
Exactly, and we are literally on the precipice, for sure, of this system not working like it was intended.
That's right. That's right. And you need a real asset-backed currency, right? Whether it's gold, whether it's silver, gold and silver. You know,
I mean, like, if you have the knowledge to make antibiotics, you know exactly what you're looking for. You know how to chemically strain a specific type of mold. You know how to grow that mold. That is worth more to me than any amount of gold that I could acquire anywhere, because gold is not going to cure you of an infection that could potentially kill you.
No, but gold is real wealth, real world wealth. Going back into ancient times, it was three things. It was land, animals, and precious metals.
But that's still a physical possession. And I'm not denying that it's not worth anything. But I'm saying the knowledge to be able to do
Jimmy
that
and I have talked about this before. Like hard tradable goods, knowledge, skills, are so much more valuable than money. You can trade that
what does money
just as
buy
well
you?
as money.
It gives you access to those things.
Right.
It's a medium of exchange. And that can be done in a dozen different ways. And by no means do I think that currency exchange is the only way that two people or groups of people should interact financially. There's certainly other ways to do that.
Yeah, barter can work, but sometimes there might be a resentment if one party doesn't feel like it's a fair trade. So then it comes into like haggling and making decisions, and then you have like somebody didn't follow through on their agreement, like who takes care of that? And that's this whole, it always recycles back to everyone thinking that they need an external force to make sure things go right, when a conversation or the entire community understanding what happened, like let's say that, you know, I purchased some body armor, but I don't deliver the goods to pay for it. You could then, you know, hey, like bring it before the entire community and see like, hey, I had this agreement with him and this is what he did. and then I would have a chance to say my say. Like, you know, it would give people an opportunity to be held accountable without a legal system, without leaders, as they call themselves. And that's kind of like, I think that we need to broaden our horizon a little bit and go a little bit beyond, like, do we really need a sheriff? Do we need these positions of government that we've had for centuries?
Yeah, what you really need is armed citizens, right? That's going to take care of 99% of your crime.
An armed society is a polite society, for sure.
Yeah. I've said for a long time that, you know, a civilian police force, if you want to call that, law enforcement, if you like that term, I just think of it as deputizing every law-abiding man, woman, and child. And by law-abiding, I mean you're not a murderer or a rapist. You know, some of these laws become
what about the chance? What about
restrict?
Yeah, but what about the chance for redemption? Because I think a murderer
100%
would understand the value of life more than most. You paid your due to society.
You paid your due.
Yeah,
you're back
but
in.
Who enforces that, and how do they get paid?
Well,
again,
if you want me to answer that, then you're probably talking to the wrong guy.
Well, that's what I mean. We can't assume that any part of the system that we have now is good at all, any of it. Even if
and I think there's an argument in favor of established courts, but anytime you do that, you bring in the potential for corruption. So what I always thought was interesting about Plato's writing in the Republic is that he made the case that if you have a democratic society coupled with a free market system, that you will inevitably get a den of vipers running the country. And his idea was to separate the two classes. You have the military class, which is what you would call citizens who get to vote, but they own nothing, right? Everything is provided to them by the state. Then you have the free market system, and these are the people that run the businesses, and they're able to acquire wealth, but they can't vote. That was his solution. I always thought it was interesting. I feel like the plan I put forward is God's reply to all of that. And in the end, I'll tell you this, and this is I'm gonna say this slowly because some people will their jaws will drop until I finish the sentence. But the only form of government that will ever work is a monarchy with Christ at the head. And I pause for dramatic effect, but that's the truth.
I mean, I would counter that.
Everything that man tries to do will crumble. The best we can do is a Band-Aid till the king gets here, bro. That's where I'm coming from. I'm not going to tell you that anything I propose is perfect. I'm going to tell you it's your lifeboat to get you to the other side.
But for some people, there's the conviction is not there in the same way, and I appreciate your how you put that as far as your religious aspect. And I'm not discounting any of that. All I'm saying is that self-sovereignty is pretty much the same thing. I'm not trying to take
perfect world. 50 states would secede and leave DC with their debt, but sadly, many states are lost forever, and that's just the cold hard truth of it.
In a perfect world, we don't have states. And to go back to your borders thing, I think our borders.
See, this is where I struggle with the libertarian idea. Look, man, if you don't got an army, China's gonna take your shit tomorrow.
Let China come. No, let China come, because they're not. They know.
See, I don't like that. I'll nuke them.
A nuclear
the shit out of China. I'd have done it in 1952 before they had nukes.
A nuclear option will not just harm them, but it will harm you. You're talking about fallout of decades. And that just
fallout happens when you pop it at ground level. You hit it 1,000 feet up, and fallout's reduced. And here's the thing: when we were the only ones that had the nuke, we didn't even have to nuke anybody. All we had to do was threaten them. Give me the keys to your military, you're gone tomorrow. Are you going to say no? Because look at Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and you tell me, give me an answer by noon tomorrow, because I got planes on the ground ready to go. Dude, I wouldn't fuck around one bit. And if you don't have an army, and if you don't got goddamn nukes, you're fucked. And that's
we didn't nuke Vietnam.
No, and I don't even give a shit about Vietnam or anything. All I care about is Montana.
We're gonna apples to apples on that.
That's why I say keep the nukes, right? And it's not about aggression. It's not about going after anybody. And pardon me, my phone is about to die. But what it's really about is mutually assured destruction. What it's really about is if you are stupid enough to come after a certain given territory, we won't assign names to it, there's a hypothetical. Well, then, there is a deterrent sufficient to push back in the other direction. I believe
that's why
that.
It's a
I really
deterrent.
do.
It harms
I hear
more
the
than
argument about, no states, and I see the imperfection.
It's the situation we're in right now overseas with Russia and Ukraine. It's a deterrent.
70 years later, there's still farmland that they can't farm in Japan. And I think a nuclear bomb.
I'm with you, bro. Believe me, I don't want to nuke anything or anybody, but I would nuke China before I let them step foot on Montana soil.
I would extend a hand to China, and I would unregulate all trade. Is what I would do. You want to talk about?
Well, see, the problem is they're sneaky bastards, and they don't give a shit. And they're itching to take your stuff. Period.
But how do you know? Have you been there?
Man, I've dealt with them.
Okay, dealing with them, dealing with a small group. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. I mean, and that's where we can agree to disagree, right?
Yeah,
and that's where some states can do what they want, and other states.
The Chinese are already here, so how do you nuke them? I know
they got a police department in New York City. How you like them apples?
Yeah, I found that quite interesting.
That's what I'm saying.
I found that quite interesting.
I wouldn't be trying to deter anybody from having a peaceful life here.
I think those are kind ideas that would have worked better 1,000 years ago. But today you got communist China that doesn't, the minute you lower your guard, they're on you. Period. There's no arguing.
So we say lower our guard. I mean, how exactly are they going to come get us and come get our stuff?
Well, you're talking about no states, no military, no defense. Yep. The second
I didn't say
true.
No militias. I didn't say no militias. I just said no government organized lines, no government organized military.
It sounds
nothing
neat,
that we would have to pay.
Buy it.
Yeah, nothing that we would have to pay taxes on, and it would all be. Strictly, all of it would just be volunteer. All of it.
And look, I'm a living example of voluntarist sort, right? I'm out there doing that all day, every day, literally. First thing in the morning, I'm going out to plow again. I do it without telling anybody. Right, typically, I do it without being asked.
Correct.
And that's maybe another argument. And I get the point. I get all the points.
It really comes back to the core that in belief that we need a government to tell us how to be good. When we ourselves can be good, and we don't need regulation, we don't need taxes, we don't need a small group of people holding all the power in their hands.
No, that you don't. That is true. But I think you do need
self-sovereignty, I believe, is the best course of action. You ask for another solution, and that's my solution. And people don't like anarchy. But that is anarchy at the core, self-governance. That is self-sovereignty.
And that's
teaching people. Yeah.
And that's the thing.
But
it's like
if you could snap your fingers and be that, you'd have a Chinese flag.
I don't have to snap my fingers. I'm already that guy. You are mostly
I mean, as a whole, not just you, but like an entire territory.
I choose to do it because it's a great idea, and good ideas don't require force.
Well, and I love that idea. I love that quote. I'm just not sure it holds water when you got the Chinese pointing nukes at you.
Okay. I would take I would reforge all of our nuclear arms into fuel.
Well, and I would go back in time to 1952 and tell everybody to shut the hell up, and then
nope.
Then we're good.
I don't think we need that. I just don't. Because there's no equal playing field ever in the history of ever. There is no such thing as an equal playing field.
Well, my phone's about to die, so if that's the last argument you want to propose, then
I would love for you to come back. I would love to hash this out some more because
I got 3%. You know what though? I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, I'll tell you right now, I get the philosophy, but that dog don't hunt. Right.
Well,
literally,
for you,
it doesn't work, and it will never work in the modern world. You got bottom line, you got too many enemies that will come and tear you to shreds.
Let them come.
a million guys with AR-15s is a deterrent, but rockets
it's
flying
closer
out
to
the sky
45 million,
to shame,
but yeah.
right?
And then again, like you already have so much gun regulation in New York and California. It's not going to take hardly anything for Russia to come into New York and China to come into California right now. And
but those subs off the coast keep them at bay. Those nukes pointed at Moscow and Beijing.
It is our own federal government. It is our own state government. And nuclear arms are no longer, they don't hold power. There are weapons that can blast those out of the sky before they even reach Apogee.
Most of them.
Laser-based weapons, energy-based weapons, they exist.
They do.
In space, they're ready to go. There's no such thing as launching nukes at people anymore.
So, okay. So fine. I'll trade you all the nukes for some of them space lasers.
Yeah.
But I want the space lasers. Right. I want something that's going to kick my enemy's ass if I need it. And that's the bottom line. Because guess what? You got enemies, dude.
We don't need to kick enemies from over there. We don't need to send our weapons there. If they want to come here and tumble,
no. Like I said, I like the space laser. I'm trading in the nukes for the space laser. All right. Let's be clear. I want space laser. You have changed my mind. I am fucking pro space laser now.
Come on, guys.
When we end up this call,
come on, guys.
I'm starting on the fucking space lasers. All right.
Hoplite is going to branch into space
Hoplite
lasers.
Space lasers.
I will cook the shit out of Beijing with the space lasers.
I mean,
I'm all about that.
I had a whole line of questions for Armor. I wish you'd find a charger.
Problem by telling me about space lasers, because now I'm going to take over the goddamn world with that shit.
Well, unless they can take your satellites out before you can.
I'm having fun with you, right? But that's.
I'm just saying that there is no absolute power at all, and if there is, no one person or group
all
of
in
people,
good humor, guys.
I'm just saying. In reality,
I don't actually have space lasers, nor can I make a phone call when we get off to obtain them.
No,
but it makes for a good
you
discussion.
could go find a charger. I mean,
I like it. I like space lasers. You have sold me on, if nothing else, you have sold me on space lasers.
Self-governance. Trust me, we are 100%
self-governance with space lasers.
Yeah, self-governed space lasers that don't harm anybody. I love it. Let's go with that one.
Well, but no, I mean, and all this stuff aside, there has, I think, still been a lot of really good points, laid out here tonight. Stephen, I do align a lot with your ideas of self-governments. I do. Me and you have had these conversations a lot, but believe it or not, like I really see you two seeing more eye to eye than even you two, I think, realize with each other. And and at the end of the day, like we really do want the same kind of thing. And what I guess inspires me about the thing that Lyman's got going on and the way that he's going about, I guess, taking the steps. People are always looking for the who's first, who's going to do it, how is it going to happen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think that if one person takes these steps forward to, I guess, even bring the secession of sovereignty to one place,
right,
it can start a domino toppling effect.
Even just to make the idea more mainstream.
Yes, because you're right. You're right there where you said Texas. Montana does it first. Well, Texas is like, well, shit, we got to do it next. And then other states just.
I'd rather go to Montana than Texas anyway.
Okay, tomato. I get it.
Yeah, I'd rather go to Montana than Texas.
What's
I've
keeping
been both
you
places.
from going?
Montana's better.
What's keeping you from going to Montana and voting for Lyman?
It's a long story. Okay, I'll tell you when we're done recording.
On the spot with that.
I'll tell you when we're done recording.
I'm all about long tails, though. I'm just saying, like, who's keeping you from doing that? Because I know who it is.
What's he
maybe
doing
no.
Just like this person keeps me from moving to Texas at any given moment.
No. It's not her specifically. There's something else. I'll tell you when. I'm not putting this out.
That's fine. I just want to make the point that it really is you, sir.
It's not me. It's not me, but
Okay.
we'll I'll tell you.
I said, who's keeping you from going, not your family?
I will say this.
Yeah.
When I was called to Montana,
yes, sir.
I told my wife, I said, the kids and I are moving to Montana, and you're welcome to come with. Now, she knew I was joking because there's no way I'd leave her behind, but I made the point that way, right? Like, this is what we're doing. And sometimes you got to do that. Now, you're self-employed. You work from home, so you got some options. Your friend might have a point about getting up and getting to Montana.
Hey, I'm self-employed as well. And
I'm happy to help anybody. Here's one thing I want to say when I got 1% left on my phone. I am a Montana missionary. You want to move to Montana, I'm happy to help you in any way that I can. Whether that's be helping you find a job, connect with people, look for property, whatever it is, I literally am a Montana missionary because of the reasons I said before. There is strength in numbers.
And that's something definitely marketable to people that they can grab onto and say, hell yeah.
Yeah.
God, I just said that like Joe from Idiocracy, didn't I?
No, you know,
I believe that time can come again.
Still sounds good.
I like it, Lyman, you know, and I think, you know, I understand you're losing your power or whatever. And I hope people out there are listening that if this is what you're looking for, then that is what I encourage you to do is take the advice of this man that's right here and figure out how to get yourself to Montana so that you can join him in making it your sovereign nation that you're after. The thing that, you know, if you're aligning with this right here, I think this is for you. And I mean, even though I do have different beliefs and stuff in some aspects, I actually believe in this, and I love this idea. My argument is, Stephen, is I'm not a cold guy. That's why I've ended up in this hot area that I am. And to be honest,
that's
with
why
you,
I'm shooting for Texas, man.
To be honest with you, as inspirational as it is here with Lyman, he damn well could push this pirate to want to start doing the same thing down here in the South. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just maybe in a different route, because as me and Bandit say all the time, it's going to turn into balkanization. That's the only way.
You don't need to share a border to fall under the same banner.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
Right. That's right. That's
yeah.
right. You know, and
on that one for sure.
And so I hope everybody takes the time to go over there and check out what Lyman's got going on. And if it interests you guys, come to
Northwest Montana. That is where you want to be. Check out Glacier National Park, Flathead Lake, Old Town Kalispell.
Well, Lyman, of course, I greatly appreciate you coming on this evening, sir. And you know, I'm sad your phone's dying. And you know, if you want to keep on with, you've got some support here, man. You want to make announcements about your run and things that you want to do with stuff like that, or have a platform to get the word out there. This one's going to do it for you. So
I appreciate it.
I stand with you on this, man. I think what you're doing is very, very noble, and
you got to start somewhere.
Evil triumphs when good men do nothing.
I appreciate you looking out for humanity, because that's something I can at least look at and say, right on, sir.
And I can tell you genuinely, I am just trying to do my part.
Well, that's, you know, as humble as you are, sir, I think it's beautiful. I do. Like, that's
all you can do.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, of course, you guys, you know, I'll have some good links for you on some of this stuff, because I want you guys to read all that good constitutional stuff. You know, Lyman, did you have any last words for you before you vanished?
I think I've said it all. A couple times over.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, that's beautiful. Stephen, you got anything good for me before we get ready to sign off?
I just hope that the next time you're on, I can be on too, and we can sharpen some more iron. How about that?
Yeah.
Oh yes, I got a yes.
And Bandit, so you got anything for me before we stop recording?
I got nothing. I got nothing, man. It very rarely do I get an episode to where I just I get to sit in the background and listen.
Right?
Very rarely,
this was good. No,
it's good.
I've had a good night tonight, and I really mean it. You know, I know we do have some disagreements in some of the things, and as crazy as
that's good though.
It is. No, it's good though.
It's okay to disagree.
It's okay to disagree.
It is. And but the best part of it is that, to me though, is that at the core bottom end of this is that we're all looking for that one thing, and that is to make sure that the people behind us, not even us, but the people behind us, are living in less tyranny than we are today. That is my goal. I don't want the ones that are going to be my grandchildren and great grandchildren to have to go sign up to eat their bugs or live in their pod. Like, I want them to live on our land out in the swamp somewhere, if that's where it ends up being, because that's just how it's going to be. So,
not the swamp.
Hey, we can drain it.
We can. Oh my god!
No. Oh my.
But of course, you guys know before I sign out, I've always got to have a good one for you. So
yeah, here we go.
And I'm not going to take that one that you gave me afterwards. I found another one for my own thing. So.
That was a good one, though. Admit that was a good one.
That was real good. So, but what did the first mate see down the toilet?
The captain's log.
Oh no!
You guys have a great night. Thank you.